Glycolysis is the process in which glucose is broken down to produce energy. It produces two molecules of pyruvate, ATP and ADH, and water. The process takes place in the cytoplasm of a cell and is not required oxygen. It occurs in both aerobic and anaerobic organisms. Glycolysis is the primary step of cellular respiration, which occurs in all organisms. Glycolysis is followed by the Krebs cycle during aerobic respiration. In the absence of oxygen, the cell makes small amounts of ATP as glycolysis is followed by fermentation.
Tricarboxylic acid or TCA cycle, also known as the Krebs or citric acid cycle, is the main source of energy for cells and an important part of aerobic respiration. The cycle harnesses the available chemical energy of acetic coenzyme A, which is the acetyl-CoA, in the reducing power of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which is the NADH.
The electron transport chain is the last component of aerobic respiration and is the only part of glucose metabolism that uses atmospheric oxygen. Oxygen continuously diffuses into plants. In animals, it enters the body through the respiratory system. Electron transport is a series of redox reactions that resemble a relay race of bucket bridge in that electrons are passed rapidly from one component to the next, to the end point of the chain where the electrons reduce molecular oxygen, producing water. There are four complex composed of proteins, labeled 1 through 4 in figure 1, and the aggregation of these four complex together with associated mobile auxiliary electron carriers is called the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain is present in multiple copies in the inner mitochondrial membrane of eukaryotes and the plasma membrane of prokaryotes. Note, however, that the electron transport chain of prokaryotes may not require oxygen, as some live in anaerobic conditions. The common feature of all electron transport chain is the presence of proton pump to create a proton gradient across a membrane. The electron transport chain is a series of electron transporters embedded in the inner mitochondrial membrane that shuttles electrons from NADH and FADH to molecular oxygen. In the process, protons are pumped from the mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space and oxygen is reduced to form water.
Photosynthesis is the conversion of light energy into chemical energy that occurs in the chloroplast of green plants and algae. The basic components are water and carbon dioxide. Plants can make sugar utilizing chlorophyll and light energy. ATP and NADPH are created from the light energy during the initial reaction. Oxygen and hydrogen are liberated from water that has been broken. CO2 is transformed to glucose in the dark reaction by spending energy from the first phase of photosynthesis.